Today, I want to do a high glam, luxurious feeling makeup look inspired by the Art Deco paintings of Tamara de Lempicka. Even if you don't know her, I'm sure you recognize her paintings. They are so iconic, and the women in her paintings are also very iconic. And she does a lot of explorations of women and women's figures, but they almost always have this like bold red lip, which I love. She's even done nudes and stuff, but the woman is always rocking a red lip. And then the eyes have this really sultry look to them. And in general, her paintings really like encompass that feeling of the 1920s and the Art Deco movement. Just a real sense of luxury, of glamour, and then this intersection that was happening at the time as we moved into the Art Deco movement with like technological advancements, architecture in general just changing to like more sharp feelings, cubist feelings. And you can see that in a lot of her paintings. There's like these buildings in the background compared to these like almost softer forms of women. Now, Tamara de Lempicka, I feel like, is an icon in and of herself. She's done that very famous self portrait called Tamara in a green Bugatti, some kind of car, I'm not sure. But yeah, just the really strong looking faces of these women. Some of them were even her lovers because she was a bisexual woman. So, very bohemian, very out there for her time. And I feel like there's so much inspiration to take from her paintings, both in terms of the colors of them in general. Like you have these contrasting, like often bright and bold shades, like the reds, sometimes like these green dresses, and then grays are kind of a motif within her work, which reminds me of like the buildings and gray concrete, yet these bolder colors. So just really gorgeous imagery in general. So I'm excited to do a makeup look inspired by it. It's going to be a full face today, all the way from the foundation. So let's get into it. This look is definitely going to benefit from full coverage foundation and just like a general matte feeling to the skin. I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer to start. I've been using this primer a lot lately. I like that it really does have that tacky, grippy feel, but you get like a little bit of hydration, which is great when you're going in with a matte foundation, but glowy skin, no, nay, not for this. My all-time favorite foundation, matte foundation, is the Estee Lauder Double Wear, and I wear the shade 1N1. And then lately, my foundation brush I've been using a lot has been the Merit one. So getting it into the bristles a little bit, and then I really have been enjoying starting right here where I find I need the most coverage. And I saw someone talking recently about how it's good to start there because the skin's a little thicker, and then move in towards the thinner skin. I feel like a lot of people do the opposite, kind of start here and go out. But like, look how quickly, I'm always like so impressed with how quickly we just got full coverage. And just using what's left on the brush to start to get into the eye area. Because yeah, you don't want like a ton of foundation there. Just enough to start to create a base for the eyeshadow. There's a lot of dimension in the faces of these women, like playing with skin tone and honestly, like generally warmer tones. So I will go in with a bronzer for shaping out the face today. It's not that I'm going to go heavy handed exactly, but certainly not a light hand. I think you can kind of play with a little bit more depth. This is kind of a great shade, this one from Vive though, because it's not too warm that it's looking orange and beachy. So it kind of straddles that line of being able to like contour and bronze simultaneously. Not to mention I find when I'm doing a bold red lip, especially one that's a bit more warm tone, that adding little bits of warmth into the skin really helps it feel a lot more wearable. And I'm just like looking through these paintings right now, and some things I love about them is like how they are kind of geometric and reflect that Art Deco feeling, but also there's like such a smoothness to it. It almost reminds me of like stones that have been polished by water, you know, and there's very this kind of flowy feeling throughout the paintings. And of course, I love how she paints women as well and their bodies and their kind of roles. It's very womanly, and it really reminds me of a woman who loves woman. It feels very much from the lens of the female gaze. Remember I said finding ways to romanticize yourself? Yeah, this is a way I'll see like sort of my body type more and be like, okay, okay, very, very beautiful. Even a little bit on the nose area. Just what's left on the brush. Okay, brows next. So this brow moment, if you have the capability, is very much about like a skinny, skinny, long brow. Very, very glamorous. I've been wearing my brows thinner, but not quite that thin, and I'm not going to pluck them just for this. However, I am going to use this as a moment to, yes, try and keep it a bit more contained. You can do that with things as simple as just how you place your brow product and not going anywhere out of the kind of lines. And also extending the brow. Everyone can do that just a little so that you have kind of this extra space here that's all going to be part of the eyelid. I always think I've extended my brow too, but then I look at a picture, I'm like, no, 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 you could do it more. So go a little more than you might think. Just going to start by like keeping the pigment right at the center of the brow so that most of the kind of line is right in the middle there, and I avoid kind of overdoing this. And it's a very soft shape. It's not actually particularly arched. It's very much like almost a straight brow. Soft curve. That's how I normally do it. But today we're going to bring it a little bit further. Might want to add a little bit more thickness. Right there. And then a brow gel to hold this in place. Okay, other brows done, and I've wiped off my lip oil to do the lips now. Because the lips are so much the focus, this is when I want to put them on so I can really kind of tailor the rest of the look around it. And I'm going to go in with two shades. These aren't quite reds, these are more oranges, but they translate in between. I've got from Lisa Eldridge Velvet Dragon, great shade of orange, and then Velvet Morning, very, very bold orange. I think together they're going to create the perfect shade, because when you look at the paintings, it's often more of an orangey red rather than think of like a cool tone red, which has more of a blue base. These look to me a lot more like they're leaning towards orange. I'm going to use the first shade, Velvet Dragon, the one that's a bit deeper, kind of like a lip liner, and have this go on the edges. I'm not going to be too precise because I'm going to use my lip brush as well. When it comes to the shape, I do think like softly defining the Cupid's bow is a good idea. Very kind of, all the lips are kind of like pouty? Pouty? I don't know, a little cute, sort of full but smaller. When you add dimension to the lip, like a bit more shadow on the side, it helps create that effect a little more. Now I'm going to take Velvet Morning and put it at the center. That extra vibrancy. It's been a while since I used this shade. It's very much a summer shade, but I love it. We're not skimping on the pigment here. Really build it up. Okay, I love that. You can tell like when I turn my head, doing that little bit of shaping is really integral to mimicking the look of the women in these paintings. Just like that little bow, almost like a little bow. Okay, when it comes to a blush, like you don't really see blush on these women, but I feel like I need to put some to make this look feel like it's, coming together. So I'm going to do a shade that's kind of similar to the lips, but I'm not going to overdo it. It's going to be just like a soft accent. So this is from KJH. It's the shade Soft Tomato. It's an orangey red, and I'm going to place that right here. It's like blending it into the bronzer. Yeah, something like that. And then I'm going to powder everything, the whole face. Once again, just a very matte style of makeup look. So I'm going in with the Huda Sugar Cookie Powder. It's a loose powder. And then this brush from Chokehold Cosmetics. It's a new indie brand. I have a couple of their products I've been meaning to feature in a video, but I have found this brush in particular very impressive. It's just like so soft, delivers powder so nicely. So yes, the entire face, all of it. I already love this so much. Such a impactful look. It's all about that lip. But I do want to play with the eyes, and I'm excited for this because when I wear a bright red lip or bright orange, I often keep the eyes like very, very minimal. And I want to find a look that I feel like really goes with a bold red lip, bold orange lip. So this is all about mattes and building up dimension in your eye with mattes. They look fairly warm, maybe a little neutral in terms of the shading used around the eye. Very bedroom eyes. If you have those eyelids, that the top eyelids that are very heavy, this is going to suit you very well. I don't, but I'll do my best to create a similar effect. Now I have this palette from Ophir called the Dune matte eyeshadow palette, and it has just like a lot of mattes, so lots of dimension to work with and build up. So I think it's going to be perfect for this. The first thing I'm going to do is start building some dimension into the crease with this shade. It's not a brightening shade, but we're not yet into the depth yet. I'm going to relax my eye. Just place that, coming all the way in. When you bring the shadow like closer in, it really defines sort of the structure of your eye. I don't like to do this too much, but I feel like it really suits this. It's like a lot of emphasis to the brow bone we're gonna build up. Kind of complementing that bold line of the brow. And I'm gonna bring this under the eye as well. Not very precise, just starting again to bring that depth under there. Before I go in with more shading, I'm going to go in with some brightening. I'm going to take this brightest shade here, and that's going to go right at the center of the lid. There's like this kind of creamy type of shade right at the center that like really pops forward against the depth created on the eye. So I just want to get that laid down before we go any darker. Just like really build that up. Sometimes with lighter shades, you kind of have to work a little bit harder for it. I think you could also use that to like get a little bit more brightening on the brow bone right at the top. Just like blend out these edges as well. All right, time for some more depth. I'm gonna go in with this shade here. So we're just like slowly stepping a little darker. And I'm gonna relax and just start to bring extra depth here. It's really like reminds me of fully like drawing an eye. Like I went to art school, and whenever I shade eyes with like pencil or pen, it's like kind of feather out dimension here, but then you like add that extra depth here. And it really like brings out like the structure of the eye. Do you know what I mean? Like shows more of the brow bone that you might see like with a flat light. So I think working with your natural, like where your brow bone lands and stuff is pretty important for this. And then I'm going to start to bring depth here. There's definitely some shading there. And then a little tighter to the lower lash line. We're going to add this as well. There's definitely like a bit of a halo eye look, like a lot of depth here. And depending on your personal taste, you can really go at this. I don't like to do this too much. So what I'm going to do is just subtly add some of that depth here. I just don't like what it does to my face and eye shape when I overdo this. So just kind of create a bit of a gesture of it so that you can see that there's, highlight and then a bit more shadow. I just find it brings my eyes closer in together. Time for some liner. I'm going to get a dark brown in the upper lash line and then like a creamy bright waterline. So to do that, I'm going to start with the darker shade here. This one's Tootsie from Urban Decay. And just really open up my eye and tight line. And then start to bring it right along the upper lash line. It's not really a wing shape, but I feel like you could extend it just a little. I'm using the dark brown from the palette to help to extend this into the inner corner. Just a little bit and like blend on top of the liner. And then I'm looking at it, actually I think you can do just like a slight extension of the eye. It's just gonna add to that feeling of this like heavier, sultry lid if you do a little bit of a liner. Honestly, it can even go a bit downwards rather than like a lifted liner. Just gonna ever so slightly extend. And then brightening up the waterline with this creamy pencil, again from Urban Decay, and the shade is Beige Flag. A white is gonna be way too harsh for this, but this like keeps with the highlight color that's happening on the lid. And I feel like I just wanna add a little bit of depth to contrast with that. So right below that, add a little bit more depth on the lower lash line. At this point, I'm gonna do the other side and put some lashes on. And I think the look is going to be basically finished. So I will be one moment. And this is the finished makeup look. I love it. It's so glam, and the lip in particular is so fun. I think it contrasts interestingly with the eye being like really like carved out, I suppose you could say, and like lots of dimension and shadowing with the eye. But then this bold lip, it does create this juxtaposition that I feel like is what is really captivating about the women in her paintings. Just like kind of sultry eye, but then bold pop, bright pop of color, you know what I mean? So yeah, I really love this. If I had short hair and could do some finger waves and I don't know, some kind of gorgeous, fabulous green dress, that would be amazing with this look. But alas, I'll just try and make it work for what I have on hand. Try to create some glam curls, but they seem to want to go in their own direction. Anyway, I think that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this exploration. I'd love to focus on some more art as makeup inspiration. I have quite a few pinned, but if you have any requests, drop them down below. And yeah, that's it for today. Toasty, let's take it away. Look, he's awake. He's alive. Not usually. Anyway, thanks so much to everybody who sticks out till the end. It really helps support the channel. If you want to check out my Patreon, link down below for bonus content, definitely do so. And if you want to like, comment, and subscribe, of course, that's always so appreciated. And until next time, may you all find yourselves a little bit of makeup magic, and we will see you in the next video. Bye, witches.